Sudan's main opposition coalition and the ruling military council have signed a final power-sharing agreement. This paves the way for a transitional government following the overthrow of longtime leader Omar al-Bashir. Stability in Sudan, which has been grappling with an economic crisis, is seen as crucial for a volatile region struggling with conflicts and insurgencies from the Horn of Africa to Egypt and Libya.
After months of volatility, a landmark power-sharing agreement paving the way for a transitional government in Sudan. The country's main opposition coalition and the ruling military council came together on Saturday in Khartoum to sign the final agreement. The council and the main opposition alliance, Forces for Freedom and Change, have been negotiating the power-sharing deal for months. Longtime leader Omar al-Bashir was ousted by the military in April following months of protests which saw dozens of demonstrators killed. Since then, al-Bashir has been detained in a Khartoum prison. He's also been indicted by the International Criminal Court and is facing an arrest warrant over allegations of genocide in Sudan's Darfur region. The months following his arrest have seen escalating tensions on the streets of Khartoum. In June, security forces raided a sit-in protest outside the city's defence ministry. Opposition-linked medics say more than 100 people were killed in the assault. Once the transitional government starts work, the country will embark on a 3-year transition period, which is expected to lead to elections.
And for more on this story, we're joined on the line by Mohamed Elamin from Khartoum. He is a journalist working for local and international media outlets in Sudan. A very good evening to you, Mohamed. Thank you so much for joining us. What does this deal say? Does it outline the responsibilities of both parties and, what each and everyone has to do?
Actually, this agreement is the final agreement, including two main declarations. One is the political declarations, which set the objectives of the transitional period, which will be 39 months ended by general elections. And the second declaration is the constitutional declaration that puts the laws and regulations that will govern this transitional period. Actually, the two sides, have engaged in marathon and long negotiations since President Omar al-Bashir has been troubled in April, and a lot of obstacles and difficulties. The two sides have actually passed a lot of difficulties until reaching this final agreement today, which actually been attended by regional leaders and international envoys and a lot of regional officials. But although this agreement is considered by all means as a positive step towards the civil authority in Sudan, but it will be also faced by a lot of challenges. The military component of the sovereignty of the hybrid council is still have a lot of issues to be. They should be, be accountable of the past 4 months and the crimes that being committed in that 4 months and the killing of protesters and the dispersal of the sit-in June 3rd. If the accountability being imposed, actually, maybe those leaders they will be found guilty, and that will trouble the transitional period. The issue of accountability and justice in Sudan will actually will be the main challenge in front of this government. Another thing is the peace in Sudan, and that is also in touch with the Sudan. The war zones areas still have a lot of issues regarding the peace building and besides the issues of the refugees and and the IDPs. Now the rebel movements, most of the rebel movements, the Sudanese Revolutionary Front, which is a block of the rebel movements in Sudan, they are still rejecting the agreement, arguing that they have not been involved in the discussions and in the picking of the members of the Sovereignty Council and the Prime Minister, as well as the Transitional Legislative Assembly. So the agreement is facing actually
now under the deal, Mohammed, under this deal consisting of 6 civilians and 5 generals who will run the country until the elections, but we see the army not being such a unified force because there are paramilitary organizations and Islamist agencies or agents working against this group. So how do you see this kind of influence moving forward, the influence of these paramilitary organizations on the implementation of this agreement? Do you see it standing in the way of this agreement? How do you see it working out?
Yes, exactly. This one of the fragility of the agreement, because the position of the paramilitary, the rapid support forces, is one of the obstacles as well. Because now, according to the declaration, the constitutional declaration, it's supposed to be under the command of the national army, but actually it's a separated forces working on its own regarding its finance. It have even foreign relations with the EU, for example, regarding the European Union, regarding the combating of the migration. They have some other relations, some other ties with the Gulf countries regarding the war in Yemen. They also run some gold mining areas in some parts of Sudan, like Darfur. So these forces is actually independent forces, and it's the enforcement of these paramilitary to be really regular and organized and disciplined forces and to be accountable is really a problem. And even the Sudanese army is actually being ruled by the Islamists for a long time, so that's also make another trouble. And the TMC itself says a lot of times that there is a third party who involved in killing the civilians. Hinted to the Islamists.
Mohammed, we don't have much time, unfortunately. But then before I let you go, there is Mohamed Hamdan Hemeti. Apparently, he's the most powerful man in Sudan at the moment. And, we know that he's the vice president of the ruling military junta, and he has the potential of shaping the future of the country. What is your analysis of the kind of influence that he has?
Yes, definitely. Now, Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo is the first strong man. He's the strongest man in Sudan right now. I mentioned he's very powerful. His even financial capabilities. His military. He has his own paramilitary that he's leading. So he's really a man that prepare himself to be the president of Sudan. But there is an article in the constitutional declaration prevented anyone who taken place as a member in the Sovereignty Council to nominate himself in the new elections after 3 years. So that will be the crucial point. We will see, because tomorrow, 18th August, the names of the Sovereignty Council will be announced tomorrow. So if he do not participate in the Sovereignty Council, that means definitely he's preparing himself for the 2022 elections.
All right, Mohammed, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your feedback. That was Mohamed Elamin, a journalist working for local and international media outlets in Sudan.